Hey guys, Omni here. We are finally going to be diving into the HBO adaptation of The Last of Us, the hit video game franchise that I'm a huge fan of. I do know that there's going to be some people that are watching this for the very first time here on the channel with us, so I'm going to do my best to react to this as somebody who's played the games, but I'm going to do my absolute best to not spoil anything for any of you who might be tuned in for the first time, who've not played the games, don't know where this is going, and if at all, I can try to be at least informative if I notice something that they change, if there's something that I actually recall that maybe they tweaked up, kind of give you guys a different perspective on it, you know, try to come at it that way, you know. I don't want to ruin this for anybody else, but I just don't want to like present anybody else out there that might be tuning in, checking this out, and kind of expecting something else out of this. Because again, like I just want you guys to know, I have played both games, and I am very excited to see how they adapt it. I love the cast they've got put together so far for the show, and I'm really curious to see what they do with this and how they bring it to the screen and turn this very tender, tense, gritty, emotional story into this 9-episode little journey for the first season. So from what I've seen, that the first season does encapsulate the entirety of the first game. Now I know that they have changed a couple things just going into this, and we'll talk about that as they come up. But from everything I've read, it seems like necessary changes. So not to fret. I'm not fretting about that too much. I just finished watching Chernobyl for the first time to familiarize myself with the showrunner, director, writer of this adaptation's previous work. And he blew me away. So after I finished that, all my reactions are on the channel. I post them all this week. I just watched it within the last 2 weeks. It's been a phenomenal ride, and I think we're in great hands. The creator of the series is heavily involved. I believe he and Craig Mazin wrote the first episode. He's directing the second episode. So it's very hands-on with the actual person that created this idea to begin with. And then Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, who both played the original characters, Ellie and Joel, in the games, do have roles to play in the show as well, which is also nice. But anyway, that all said and down the way, let's go ahead and get ready to dive into this. But before we do, remember, if you enjoy the reaction, please leave a like, drop a comment. It really does help us out. And if you're new, if you enjoy it, stick around, subscribe, because we will be continuing this journey throughout the entirety of this season, and we cover all kinds of stuff here. So give it a look and hang out and join us for the ride. And if you want to see the full-length reaction to this, you can check it out over on Patreon, or if you become a member of the channel, it gets you access as well as a watch-along format. So we need your own footage to sync up with the time codes and reaction to the entire episode. You also get the same thing for all the other shows and movies that we cover here on the channel. Over there, you also get to suggest and vote on what movies to react to each month. We got monthly Q&As, behind-the-scenes footage, or try to make it worth your while since you are going to support us over here. But with that all said and out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and dive into episode 1. Here we go.
And that's your biggest worry?
Yes, any kind of virus, but most probably something similar to influenza.
1968.
And Dr. Newman, you're also an epidemiologist. I presume the prospect of a viral pandemic keeps you up at night as well?
No.
No?
No.
All right, well, that's our show.
No, mankind has been at war with the virus from the start.
But you, just to be clear, you do think microorganisms pose a threat?
Oh, in the most dire terms.
Bacteria?
No.
You like saying no?
Yes.
Not bacteria, not viruses, so...
Fungus. Yes, that's the usual response.
Wait, he's from the Mummy, isn't he?
Where do we get LSD from?
Where do you get it from?
It comes from ergot. There's a fungus that infects insects. Gets inside an ant, for example, travels through its circulatory system to the ant's brain, and then floods it with hallucinogens, thus bending the ant's mind to its will. And it gets worse. The fungus needs food to live, so it begins to devour its host from within, replacing the ant's flesh with its own. But it doesn't let its victim die, no. It keeps its puppet alive by preventing decomposition. How? Where do we get penicillin from?
Fungus.
He's catching on.
Fungal infection of this kind is real, but not in humans.
True, fungi cannot...
Yeah, this is a real thing, man.
And currently, there are no reasons for fungi to evolve to be able to withstand higher temperatures. But what if that were to change? What if, for instance, the world were to get slightly warmer? Well, now, there is reason to evolve. One gene mutates, and an Ascomycetia, Candida, ergot, Cordyceps, Aspergillus, any one of them could become capable of burrowing into our brains and taking control, not of millions of us, but billions of us. Billions of puppets with poisoned minds. And there are no treatments for this, no preventatives, no cures. They don't exist. It's not even possible to make them.
So if that happens,
We lose.
Oh my god. This is such an intense way to open.
we'll be back.
But it was highly informative on the whole thing itself. Ooh. Ah. Oh, it's the country. Oh, that's neat. It's showing the spread of the infection, I think. Oh, that was a nice opening, man. I liked that opening. That was a good, solid intro, man. 2003. I know they rolled this back because in the game it takes a little bit. It takes place later. I think if I remember right, it might have been 2013. There's no present day in the main game. I think it's 2032. So they rewound it a little bit so that it lines up with present day being our present day being their present day.
Oh, hi.
Connie was asking after you. Think you hadn't been over in a while.
You know what? We gotta run, but Sarah will be by later. She'll stay as long as you want. I'll tell you all about Atkins.
Great. I'll let Connie know.
Solid.
I love their dynamic, man. Austin, Texas, September 26th.
Predicate where adverb. You see it? Okay, have some knowledge, shaking of heads. I swear you will use this later in life. Believe me, that's why you're here. Okay? So, use the subject or
All day, I swear.
Subtle signs.
We're done for today. I'm very sorry, he cannot finish.
I'm already finished.
طب خلصني وعطيها إياها بقى. You should go home.
You know, the twitching on the girl in the classroom, too. It's already here.
It's Greene. We love that. Here we go. I don't know why I talked to her. She's completely deaf.
Ooh.
Hey, Mrs. Adler, could I borrow this?
Oh, that was eerie. The dog knows something's wrong. Oh, that was good.
Comment today from the Austin Police Department regarding a rash of violent incidents across the city.
Violent incidents across the city.
Where's the cake? Come on, man.
Get us one tomorrow.
Swear. Or you don't get your present.
You got me a present?
Swear.
All my life. Well,
Fixed it for you.
did you?
What?
I don't hear anything.
That was lame. You're lame.
Yeah, I know. Where'd you get the money for this?
Drugs. I sell hardcore drugs.
It's better when I do.
It was only $20, which I stole from you.
I was wondering if they were going to keep that line or not.
God damn it.
What's my fault this time? I was at the bar, some guy goes crazy, starts swinging at a waitress.
Which jail? Travis County?
Yeah, on 10.
God damn it, Tommy.
I'm sorry.
Idiot.
Dad?
Stay indoors.
Aww.
Come on, let's get you home. Come on, Mercy, please.
Look who's not in their chair right now. They made a good point to focus on her immobility, helplessness, and all of that. Ooh. Ooh, she's latched on. Oh, those little tendrils. Oh! Little barbs to spread the...
Get in the truck! Right now! Move! What are we doing, Joe?
Joel?
Denise, you get back inside the house! You lock your doors now! Come on, get in! Get your seatbelt on.
Oh, they turn quick, man. They turn quick. God, it's so claustrophobic. Oh my God.
You okay? Nico. Okay. We gotta get off the street.
Oh!
Tommy!
Wow. This is a very RE2 moment, man.
Keep your eyes on me, okay? You don't look anywhere else.
I'm pretty sure like it was a truck that hit them in the first one, but having a plane crash like that, oh, that was insane. Oh my God. Oh, their veins. Ooh, I don't like that. Runners, man.
Don't move. My daughter's hurt. Her ankle. Stop right there. Okay. Easy now. We're not sick.
I got 2 civilians by the river, one of them injured.
Tommy. We're gonna get you somewhere safe first. Then we'll go back for him, okay? Okay.
I'm sorry, repeat. Hey, no one told you to move. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are not sick!
I'm sorry.
Please don't. No. Okay. You're okay. You're okay. Move your hand, baby. Move your hand. Baby, listen to me. I gotta get you up, okay? I gotta get you up. All right? You come on. You come on. I know, baby. No, I know. Tommy, help me! Joe. Come on, baby. Come on.
20 years later. Man, no matter how many times I played the opening, no matter how much I knew that was coming, it still just tears me apart, man. And they switched it up quite a bit. I mean, it still is a very authentic adaptation of the open. They expanded on it quite a lot, quite beautifully, to kind of show the expand and the spread and the panic more, set up their relationship a little more, change how they got to these little points, but it flowed really well. Oh, the timetables for the infection. That's interesting. You go back and read that. Seems like you got the most time if you got bit in the legs. Farthest away from the brain, the slower it takes to take over.
There's gonna be a little tickle right here. What if I told you that after we gave you some medicine, we're gonna find you your favorite food to eat? Would you like that? It's just a little needle. It's okay. You're safe.
Wow. You're lost in the darkness. Look for the light.
Count slowly and clearly from 1 to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Slowly and clearly.
5, 6, 7, 8. You. Let me out or you're gonna pay, mother. I'm not supposed to be here!
I wasn't even supposed to be here today. Sorry. couldn't help myself when she said that.
When I'm sleeping, Gabriella listens, or my son, the smart one, not the other one, God bless him. If Tommy responded, we'd know.
And you're talking to the tower.
Every day.
I got jumped by a couple guys. The guys who jumped me were with Robert. He sold our battery to someone else. He was lost. Like this is gonna happen.
Truck's no good without one, and if I don't get to Tommy soon, he's gonna die out there.
So let's go hunt that motherfucker down and get our battery and our truck, and then we'll go find Tommy.
Their relationship in the game was kind of vague. Like, there was that tension there, but they never really confirmed one way or the other. I think they by expanding upon that, gave us a little insight. Is that Marlene? Because that looks like Marlene.
The team in place at Southeast 3?
The only actual actor from the game playing their character in the show, Merle Dandridge, I think is her name.
Whatever you need. Whatever it takes. We'll get her where she needs to go.
Giving off real strong Ellie vibes, man.
So can I go?
Where are you gonna go? Back to Federal Military School?
They put me there when I was a baby. It's for orphans.
They didn't put you there. I did. Ellie.
You're my f***ing mom or something?
And look like your mom?
No, you're not.
My name is Marlene. I'm the leader of the Fireflies in the Boston QZ.
Why would you terrorist dump me with Fedra?
I need to hold on to that comment. I don't know if I'll be able to address it this episode or not, but
Was Riley a terrorist?
it's really what. Oh.
Why won't you let me go?
Because you have a greater purpose than any of us could have ever imagined. So we're leaving tonight, and we're taking you with us. What I'm about to tell you cannot be repeated to anyone, because if you do, I assure you, you will die.
Man, how long is this first episode? Oh!
You smell that?
Gunpowder.
Oh, somebody beat them to it. That's one way to truncate this segment. Oh, Jesus!
Joel?
Marlene?
You okay?
Give me my knife.
What do you need a car battery for? Go.
Not at her.
Point it at me.
We were gonna move Ellie out of the zone tonight, but we won't make it anywhere like this, not for a while anyway. So now I'm thinking, you're gonna do it.
The hell we
Let me take her.
We don't have time for this.
Oh, you don't have time?
Who is she?
To you, she's cargo.
We don't smuggle people. Sorry.
I can do it. Kim, you don't have a mirror on your head, could you please? There's a team of fireflies waiting, but now I don't have a truck, I don't have a squadron, Fedra's 5 minutes away. What I do have is you. And I know what you're both capable of. For better or worse.
What are they capable of?
You get her there safely, and they'll give you what you need.
Firefly vehicle usually means repurposed Fedra stuff. So better than decent chance making it to Tommy in one of those. The second we hand that kid over.
You'll talk it through, but please remember that I'm bleeding out.
So who's Bill and Frank? The radio's a smuggling code, right? 60s song, they don't have anything new. 70s, they got new stuff. What's 80s?
Smart.
What are you doing?
Killing time.
What am I supposed to do?
I'm sure you'll figure that out.
Your watch is broken.
Oh, the ticking.
You mumble in your sleep. Oh, the radio came on when you were sleeping.
What? What was the song?
They kept saying like wake me up before you go. Gotcha. 80s means trouble. Code broken.
Listen.
Witty little kid, man. That's why she took the book. This premiere is a lot longer than I thought it would be. Man, like I said, they've changed a few things and expanded on others, but there's some sections, some things they're doing that is just straight one for one, man, and it's giving me chills. Oh.
You gotta
Hands on your head.
Really, man?
Yep. We're doing this by the book. Fine. Everything off of this run, and half off on all of the pills.
Half off? All off. That's my job for half off. Out of your mind.
Whoa, whoa. We can fix this. Move.
Oh. Ooh. Oh. And there it is.
No, I'm not sick. I am not sick. I'm not sick. Look. This is 3 weeks old. Nobody lasts more than a day. Just as look at they old to you.
We gotta move, Joel.
That was so good. The flashback to the soldier aiming the gun at him and his daughter, and the rage that came from that. Oh, that's a great way to close it out after we got the code. Dude. Hell yeah, man. That was so good. It was like an hour and 19 minutes, roughly. Damn, man. That was really freaking good. They captured so much of the game, man, of the vibe, of the tone. Well, especially the tone. Pedro Pascal's doing phenomenal in this, and Bella Ramsey is slaying it as Ellie so far. With the attitude, the take no shit kind of character that she kind of is. She's very spunky, she's very outspoken, and I love it. It's a perfect dynamic for these two, and I can't wait to see more of them together. We got a lot of things expanded upon in the opening too. A lot of this is very faithful to the first few acts of the game. There's only a couple of things that got a little restructured, reordered, like the way that they wrecked the car, kind of the setting in which his daughter was shot and stuff like that. But there was like so much of it that was just so straight from the game, man. This was like a ride down memory lane and just with a new lens. But we had a lot of context, like the way the show opens to inform the viewers in a very very straightforward way to explain what the show is, like the antagonist of the show or the overarching like infection. Just kind of explain it and get that out of the way in a very easy, understandable terms in the early onset of the series with that interview with those biologists. That was a great way to get us in there, and then just slowly throughout the opening of the episode, just the news broadcasts, the stuff on the radio and stuff like that, dropping these little hints. As we kind of further along, we spent more time with Joel and Sarah and Tommy there in the early onset of the like pre-outbreak stuff. Her actually going out and getting the watch fixed, kind of interacting with their neighbors, and that was a great setup. That was one of my favorite moments in this episode, is just that little sequence, because we saw the husband and the wife out there on the lawn with the biscuits, and he's feeding her because she can't do anything for herself, she can't move or whatever, so he's feeding her. And then we come back and she's just kind of staring off. She's like, he hasn't spoken a word. You have her daughter minding over her, being like, why do we even bother talking to her, and all this stuff, like all these little things just show how inept she is in her current condition, so that contrasts beautifully when the infection hits her and she becomes this rabid, ravenous, quick, mobile creature. It was a great turn. And just the slow way it started to creep in while Sarah was there visiting, like rummaging through their DVD stuff. When she was out of focus behind her, she just got still. All of a sudden the dog was kind of like whining a little bit, and then you just saw her just like in the background, out of focus, because the barbs are starting to come out. Now that's one of the changes that I was going to wait to talk about. Like in the games, the primary way it spreads is via spores, which is how it spreads in the real life. When the ants when they get infected, the fungus tells the ant to go to the highest place it can go before it dies. There, it it perches, and then it grows a stalk out of the ant's head, and then that head pops with spores, and the spores rain down onto the colony of ants below, spreading the infection. And spores in the game is a primary way of how how the infection spread as well. Bites, anything like normal, like zombie stuff, like still kind of spreads it because it gets the spores into your bloodstream. But you can also inhale it and stuff. It is airborne in that way in certain areas where the growth has kind of become extremely prevalent. So like we saw with the infected person down there, kind of like rooted up against the wall, likely in the game that might have been given off spores. So a lot of those sequences, they have to put on these gas masks and stuff like that, and it creates a kind of a plot hole in the game. So they decided to eliminate that completely by removing the spore aspect of it, which I wholly understand. Because one of the reasons they gave was that they didn't want to have their actors just flopping in and out of masks, kind of like it just, not that having masked protagonists inhibits the story at all, because, Pedro Pascal, man, he's one of the highlight masked protagonists of the last couple of years with Mandalorian. That can be done, but it's distracting. What it does, though, the spore thing, and it was a plot hole, is something that I thought of in the game. When you go through these areas, just having the mask on does not purge you of these infections, because it would be all over your hair, skin, and clothes. The moment you take off that mask, you're infected. There's a plot hole in the game, and they just remedied that by removing it altogether. So once someone's infected, much like the ants themselves, rather than exuding spores, though, it goes through these barbs, I'm guessing is what it is, because we saw these like little kind of like flowery tendril stalks coming out that had these prickly barbs on the end. And when they're chowing down, they are using those to spread the infection into whatever they're chomping in on. So it's interesting. It's a nice little change to kind of eliminate that little whole thing. And while it could have easily been done, Craig Mazin is a kind of person who wants to get something grounded and try to take as much of the questions out of the audience as much as possible. From what I've seen and the way he's talked about this as well, he doesn't want to be anybody watching this and being like, well, they should still be infected once they leave this area. So like they just kind of took that out. I wholly agree with that. Some other minor changes, just a kind of that don't matter really at all. Like is just the way they crashed in the game. It was a truck. In this, that plane crash just makes the chaos of the opening sequence that more terrifying, because that is something that probably would likely happen as well with these people just trying to get out, because they obviously weren't following any kind of flight paths or authorized flight airways or whatever. Just kind of taking off to get the heck out of Dodge, man. It was a nice, interesting, chaotic way to kind of up the ante there, and then showing the elderly woman just kind of get up and start twitching around and running, and just the eerie way that the runners in this, the early onset infected, act and twitch, and their body language is so eerie. I love it, and I can't wait to see, now that we're out in the wilds, some of the more interesting variants. See which ones they bring into into play here. What else was there? They truncated the Robert sequence where they're going after to confront him about the battery and stuff, which eventually leads them to Marlene and their group. They truncated that in a nice little way to just kind of have that all happen at the same place. That was a great way to bring that together. I think the performances in this were really great, and I love the way that they didn't force feed any of the exposition on how this stuff works. I think the opening sequence with the doctors on the news broadcast was a nice way to kind of get a lot of that necessary stuff out of it. The rest of it is just kind of world building. It's just these Fedra posters throughout different scenes. Like if you're bitten here, or down here, your time to being taken over is different. It varies. I like those little things. And then the way that they kind of their procedures, their operations and stuff like that. You see that in the posters with the firelights and the symbols on the wall as you're hearing these things going on. The ration cards, which is what they do for work. Instead of money, they're given these ration cards by the military, and then they use that, whatever cards they make from working, to barter for what they need. But it's also limited, which is why you have Joel and Tess running these smuggling operations, because they run out, they do runs, and they get stuff and bring it in and sell it and stuff like that. It's these nice little, I don't know, I just thought this was a really great way to bridge the gap in a very authentic way from the mediums, from the video game to this. It was just really well handled. I think Pedro Pascal's doing a really solid job at capturing Joel. Bella Ramsey's doing a fantastic job right out of the gate so far with Ellie. I don't know the actor's name playing Tess, but I like her. That's another thing. Like again, like I mentioned, their relationship was always kind of vague in the game from what I remember. It was kind of hinted at, but never really solidified. But then I think this one kind of was like leaning that way. It didn't like go like into this like overtly, but like I think they just leaned a little bit more into that without it being too distracting. But you just see like how these quarantine zones have just kind of, it's people are just kind of living day to day under this authoritarian military force that just restricts and controls their life. Again, it's for their own good. It's keeping them alive, but it's not a great circumstance, and they're by no means free, which is why you have the Fireflies who are kind of like trying to get our autonomy back. You know, after all this happens and the government's broke down, this government organization that was organized to quarantine everything through the military, this group called Fedra, eventually took over, and pretty much the only outcroppings of people are these quarantine zones, which are almost exclusively ran by Fedra. And then, of course, like they mentioned, out in the wilds, you know, there's hunters, raiders, slavers, and these other communities and stuff like that. Then these groups that are just, you know, much like The Walking Dead, they'll do what they have to do to survive out there with these creatures out in the wild. You know, no protection of walls or stuff like that, just scavenging off the land and what they can find in the ruins. And that's what we're about to dive into with these creatures roaming around with all. Oh man, I can't wait to get into the thick of it. Yeah, this went longer than I thought it was going to go. I was like, where's this going to end? Like, what's going to be the end point of this? And I like that it went up until the point where Tess and Joel realize that Ellie's infected. But she hasn't turned. I like that we got there. I was wondering if they were going to leave that for like the next episode, but the pace that they were going, I was like, that would be really early on in the next episode, because that would be a really good teaser for the end of an episode, and we just kept kind of rolling. Which makes me wonder what the average length of these episodes is going to be, because this was fairly lengthy, but it did a fantastic job at like fleshing all of this out. I think this is a phenomenal introduction, and just from this episode alone, this is already, I don't want to jump the gun because I've only seen this episode, but again, the creators involved heavily in this, you know, is assisting in the whole creative process. Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin and the work he's done that I've seen in Chernobyl, man, I think we're in good hands. And so far, just from this first episode and having kind of recently reacquainted myself with the game itself, this is a very strong representation of the game. I think this is, from what we've seen so far, if we did 1-to-1, like comparing the live action adaptation of what we've seen so far, so like the game up until this point and the show up until this point, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Marginal at best at how different they are. Obviously, it's a different experience because you're not playing it, but like I think this is like the closest I've seen of seeing something like extremely accurately represented in like striking detail. Like this made me feel like I was watching the game, but with people. And I haven't really felt that with like a video game adaptation, you know? Like even some of the best ones that are out there, there's still like that, a little bit of that disconnect. And I know that there's probably going to be some more stuff that they tweak and add later on, but I'm very excited to see what that is. Because at the same time, because there are these minor changes that they do to kind of get around the whole like gameplay element of it. Obviously, you have these extended combat sequences, you have these other like puzzle areas, you have these sneaky stuffs you got to do, and like a little bit of the mundane stuff to kind of keep the player engaged or whatever, and you got to work around that narratively. I think they did a really great job with that, especially truncating, like I said, the Firefly Tess, Robert Joel situation. It just has me excited to see where they go with the rest of this, because there's some pretty fun sequences in this, I think. And one of the other things that they kind of started to touch on, I won't bring up until we actually, there's a character I think that is coming, because I saw that there was a casting specifically for it, and it made me think about Bella Ramsey, and I'll get back to that when we get to it, because now that I'm thinking about it in this connection, because it was announced kind of early on, I understand. I like the decision even more. But we'll get to that. I hope I don't forget to bring it up whenever we get to it. But guys, I think that's going to be all I've got for right now. So if you enjoyed the reaction, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, because we will be continuing this series. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll carry on the conversation after the video. Remember, if you want to see the full-length reaction, you can check it out over on Patreon, or if you become a member of the channel, get you access as well. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends, Manny, Sharon, Ryan, Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori, Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Melita, Robert Anguiano, Raven McGann, Jeffrey Hale, M. Sephiroth, Jake Cantrell, and Amy Becca. Thank you guys so much for continued support. But that's it for this video, guys. I will see you all next week with episode 2. Take care, everybody.